So once again, we have an amazing Jameis Winston performance. It wasn't just him. The entire Saints team looked great. Everything went well for them. I've only watched the offensive side of the ball currently for the Saints. I'm interested in watching the defensive side of the ball. I'll probably do that a little bit later, but I wanted to make a Jameis Winston video. I thought it would be fun to just make a video of breaking down the 5 touchdowns that he had, although one of them was a push pass, so I'm not even going to include that. So I'll break down the other 4 touchdowns and talk about his game for a second. I mean, listen, this is kind of what we had hoped for a little bit, or I didn't, as I'm a Bucs fan. I hope it wouldn't happen, but if you're a football fan, you kind of hope that the Jameis Winston experience would work well with the Saints offense, and it was kind of a match made in heaven a little bit, where you get this great athletic quarterback who makes dumb decisions and put him in an offense where it's okay if he's not the highest IQ player, and sometimes he is. Pre-snap he is, just post-snap not so much, and put him in a situation where he doesn't have to make too many difficult post-snap decisions, and so far it's worked out pretty well through one game. So again, it's a weird game, but let's just get into the film study and talk about the touchdowns and how I actually have some nitpicks in the touchdowns, but it's also kind of a good thing if that makes any sense, and you'll understand more once I talk about those plays. So all right, we'll start off with this one. To me, this was probably maybe his best touchdown. This is something I saw him do a lot in Tampa Bay. He's bringing it to NOLA now, or I guess technically to Jacksonville for the time being. It's a zone coverage play, and one of the things that I always felt like Winston doesn't get enough credit for is his mobility. He is someone who can move around a bit. Right when this play starts, there's going to be some pressure off the edge a little bit, but watch him first step up in the pocket and make an off-balance throw to an open receiver. This is something Winston did all the time in Tampa Bay. He has a pretty good pocket presence. Again, he looks a little awkward, and I think people notice the bad plays when he, runs into somebody and fumbles the ball, which he will do also, but he, for the most part, will do a pretty good job at being able to navigate the pocket and make throws off balance. You just saw him do it here. It's something he absolutely can do. We'll have to talk about this one, of course. This was the biggest play. It's going to be zone coverage. It's a cover 3 zone. You have a receiver running a deep route on second down and 10. So the way this play works is because it's cover 3. And one thing I should mention is the Packers, I mean, they definitely, kind of gave up a little bit at a certain point. They played a lot of okay, we'll just do cover 3, play after play after play. Winston will eat you alive if you do that, and Sean Payton will eat you alive if you do that. I get the logic. You're trying to stop Kamara, but again, that's what could make this offense really deadly. So anyways, it's cover 3 zone. And watch what happens on this route. So Winston takes a snap, runs a play action. He is going to fire this one deep. And you see that there's an opening. And this is kind of what people had said about, hey, maybe with Winston, we can have someone who can push the ball down the field, and Sean Payton can open up his playbook a little bit. Sean Payton has the style of offense of he wants to try and get you to cover every single square foot of the field. Well, that includes the deep game, which, Breeze last year, especially after the injury, couldn't really do. Winston can. And as you see, it's just a beautifully accurate throw, which is it's actually a little surprising. I mean, Winston is someone who had struggles with the deep ball accuracy over the course of his career. So far in New Orleans, that hasn't really been the case. He's done a good job in the preseason and now in the regular season of hitting those throws. So that's some reason for optimism if you're a Saints fan. This play was kind of funny. I actually have a couple of nitpicks about 2 of the 4 touchdowns that I'm going to show you, which is maybe a good thing, I was thinking, because if Jameis Winston just went off and everything went right, well, then you'd say, okay, he's going to revert to the norm somehow. But I actually think that in the Sean Payton offense, you're going to get a scenario where things are just easier for him, so he doesn't have to be perfect, and he'll still throw touchdowns while being imperfect. So like on this play, it's just a quick pick play, and I actually think you could have probably called this a penalty. I mean, look at that pick, but then also look at Winston's throw. It's a bit high, but you know what? He threw it to a wide open receiver, which, let's be honest, Winston hasn't had too much of that over the course of his career. He's had a bit of it, but there's definitely going to be more openings in the Sean Payton offense than there was certainly in the Dirk Cutter offense and even in the Bruce Arians offense. In Tampa Bay, a lot of it was just hoping Mike Evans could get open, and that's kind of why it would be a little bit more difficult, and he had less room for error than he will in New Orleans. The next touchdown is another great example of this. So it's going to be a play action. You have, a tight end and fullback run a route. And again, there's a clear nitpick here, but that's a good thing. Winston takes the snap, runs a play action, and you see 83 is going to get open right here. And one thing I've always said, and I stand by this, is listen, if you throw a touchdown, it's a good play. I might have some criticisms about how it happens. I can still sit here and say it's a good play. Winston probably should just make this throw now. I think that's a fair thing to say, but also watch what happens. Winston then is going to get under pressure, and when he throws, there was the Green Bay player was able to actually get there. Winston kind of waited too long, allowed pressure to come, but he still made a very good throw when they got the touchdown. And that's kind of my point, is that even with Winston kind of making some odd decisions sometimes of like, why not just throw that ball earlier? He was open, make your decision quicker. It's still working because the Sean Payton offense was getting guys so open. So yeah, listen, it's a weird game, right? Jameis Winston only threw 20 passes. Alvin Kamara had 20 carries on his own. And again, a big part of it is once the Saints got up so big, like the game was over. Aaron Rodgers got pulled himself. So it was kind of that weird thing of, they didn't need Winston to do too much, which again is a good thing. The bulk stats look bad, only 148 yards. That doesn't look good, but it's not a bad thing because again, he only threw 20 times. So the yards per attempt, it's a bit low, especially when you factor on 55 of those yards was on one play, but it's not horribly low. And he got off to kind of a smaller, kind of a bit of a slow start in that regard, and then was got better. Also, part of it is, hey, when half of your throws are touchdowns, or in this case, literally a quarter of his throws were touchdowns, there's going to be less yards to get because, you're getting stopped by the goal line, not by an opposing player. So that's an aspect as well. And as far as, am I willing to accept Jameis Winston as the new overlord who's going to be great for the next 20 years? Well, maybe not quite just yet. I've just seen Jameis Winston too many times have a great performance, or even he strung a few great performances together in the past, only to then fall on his face. And I want to see how he does when things don't go well. I want to see how he does against a great defense. Let me see how he does again. Next week the Panthers they're going to Carolina, which could be interesting. Carolina played well, so maybe something like that. You do have then the Patriots, the Giants, the Washington football team. One of those teams should probably play defense well against them. I'll be more interested in seeing how that goes and how he handles that. But yeah, as a whole, listen, I've definitely defended Jameis Winston a lot over my career when he was a Buccaneer. I'm going to defend him now. He's looked good. He's a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. You can't tell me otherwise. And the way he's playing, he looks like he could be better than that. So should be interesting. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.